What's up, everyone? Welcome to my corner of the internet. I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and this is Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments, the leading global payments provider helping sellers keep more of their hard-earned money. What's up, everyone? I'm your host, Ryan Cramer, and welcome to this beautiful Friday, episode 74 of Crossover Commerce, presented by PingPong Payments. PingPong provides marketplace sellers and entrepreneurs global solutions for controlling their domestic and international funds. An account with PingPong enables companies to significantly reduce their costs when receiving or making international payments all in one platform to make business profits, increase operational efficiencies, saves time, and allows sellers to manage their business profiles all in one platform. For more information, go ahead and check out that link below in the comment section. If you are watching us live, again, welcome everyone who's joining us on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitter. We appreciate you joining in. Or if you're catching this later in the day, obviously Friday, everyone likes to take their leisurely time. I appreciate you tuning in no matter when you watch this show. But if you're watching live, welcome. Or if you're listening to us via download, via Apple Music, Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts, wherever you consume your products or podcasts, that is where we'll be. Go ahead and just search Crossover Commerce by PingPong Payments. Again, do me a favor, like, share, and follow this episode on social media. And if you hit that reminder button on the social profiles, make sure you do that, just because you don't want to miss a single episode of my show. I go live about 4 to 5 times per week so that there is constantly flowing all around the internet. Make sure that you tune in. You don't want to miss a single guest that I have on. So with that being said, if you can't catch us live, again, make sure you rate us or you mark that bell wherever you watch your podcast, or subscribe to our social channels. Again, that's the easiest way to be notified, either PingPong Payments or Ryan Cramer. Just search me on LinkedIn, Instagram, or Facebook, or you can search for our Crossover Commerce page. Just search Crossover Commerce with Ryan Cramer on Facebook, and that is our show page. Go and check it out there as well. But about our guest today, really excited to kind of cap our week off today with our four guests. Anatoly is actually a serial entrepreneur, a 6-figure Amazon seller, an IT consultant, and host of 10 Million Journey podcast, where he shares his journey to scale his e-commerce business to $10 million. That's a great goal. And along the way, he shares his ups and downs of his journey about being successful, but also sharing his failures as well. So that's what we're going to talk about today, kind of the missteps that he might have taken along the way, and what he's learned from it and grown as a seller as well as an entrepreneur. But he was born in Eastern Europe, realized his ambitions couldn't be there where he was, so he moved to Canada at the age of 21, where he changed his career to business to software development, earned a position making 6 figures, and developed his first consulting agency, Agile Consultancy, where he helps IT teams become more efficient. That being said, he also wanted to be more independent, break away from a 9-to-5 job. Also, so he developed that agency and consultancy, but he used his ability to develop and learn IT, and also grew into Amazon business with his wife, Anna. I'm going to say Anna, and hopefully that's all right with Anatoly. So Anna, for 3 years now, they've both been growing their business on the consultancy side as well as Amazon business to 6 figures already. And again, he's also has a podcast, 10 Million Journey, as accountability tool where he shares his every step and interviews the best in the Amazon and e-commerce industry to pick their brain and, again, learn from the people who are successful in the space. But go ahead and welcome to the show, Anatoly Spektor of 10 Million Journey. Anatoly, what is up, man? How are you?
I'm amazing. Ryan, I love your show. So
thanks. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Man,
yeah,
you are killing it.
Well, we meet over Instagram. Like we both were like exchanging messages recently. I think that's how we first met. And you had some awesome guests on in very similar circles. And we got introduced to each other that way. So it was kind of a beautiful syncrasy. You're just on the other side of the freaking world, man.
Yeah, it's dark inside.
Like,
so,
yeah. I was gonna say. So yeah, for everyone who's not, we didn't talk about like where you're actually located. Where are you currently at? Because you also taught this year a digital nomad. You're not currently still in Canada. You actually have decided to travel around the world because that's the beauty of Amazon. You get to do this wherever you freaking want, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. Right now in Bali, Indonesia. It's a great place. I've been 2 weeks. I love it so far. It's been amazing. Very, very warm. Lots of people. Everybody masterminding. It's like a hub of people who trying to run away from COVID and just be like live a normal life and just develop themselves. So it's been amazing.
Wow, that's awesome. So, and you have not just your wife, but you have a 1-year-old. Is that correct?
A 2-year-old. I have
2-year-old.
2-year-old.
Holy
Yeah.
cow! So
Usually
what's that
also
like? Yeah.
travel
What?
with a dog, to be honest.
Um. Oh, and you're traveling with your dog. Yeah. Oh, well, what's that like? Because not many people. So we've had sellers on the show, right? Traveling the world, digital nomads and whatnot. That term is loosely, used now, but you are actually traveling around the world with not just yourself or like your wife. You're also traveling with a young kiddo as well as animals. So what's that like? That journey in terms
Oh
of
man.
trying to figure out what to do, especially in a time where travel is pretty difficult.
100%. When we started 2 years ago, so it wasn't that difficult yet. So it's not like COVID hit and we're like, oh, let's go travel. Such an
Exactly.
amazing time. No, we decided to go traveling when I think my son was about 3 months. We're like, okay, now we're ready because we're like saving a little bit and we had this business. We transitioned consultancy to be remote, and then Amazon business started hiring people so they can help us out. So we set up the system and then we're like, we're ready. And it happened. We just get rid of our lease of apartment in Vancouver, and just sit in a plane and went to Europe, and
That's
it was
it.
fun. Yeah, yeah. It's we prepared for it, I guess, beforehand, but overall, it's just that's what it was. And then we're already there, and then we spend about a month at every place. We don't go like hopping like crazy people, or like free people who don't have children do, I guess, because
Right.
they need to adopt and stuff. And he was very young at the moment. Now we spend more time. We find nanny. We find all those groups, like social groups for the kid everywhere we go, so he can hang out. With the dog, it's harder because there needs to be a lot of documents. So one time we get turned around airport because the dog didn't have vaccine. One of the like vaccine expired, and then
Right.
yeah, it's harder. So the dog right now is staying with my wife's parents in Latvia, where we're from, because you cannot take it to Bali. But she was everywhere else. Like this dog traveled more than a lot of
Oh my
people.
gosh.
So
So is this a tiny dog? Is this a bigger animal? Like
yeah, there's like a
what
mini
are we talking about?
dachshund. It's a mini
Oh,
dachshund. It's a tiny dog. She's always with us in like a carrier. We never like put her in like a baggage place or whatever. I would be very scared because I love the dog to death. So I don't want anything
yeah.
happen to dog.
No, exactly. Yeah, we have a dachshund beagle mix, so a very small
Wow.
dog, but she is a tiny human, so basically a second child.
Yeah.
And she is very pouty all the time. She grumbles and she is constantly needing attention. So again, like a baby.
Yeah. Same here.
But
Same here. So
so traveling around, you've done this close to 2 years.
yeah.
Where have you been? Like, what are the places? Like, hit me up. Where are we talking about?
Yeah, so I think we start with Israel. It's one of my favorite places on earth. So if people can go to Israel, go to it. It's just amazing. The beach is great. The food is great. The people are amazing. Everything is good about Israel. Then we went to back home to Latvia, stayed a little bit there. Then went to France, lived there in Dijon, France, where all the best wines are. And I was studying wine. So for me, it was very interesting to live in Burgundy, try the best wines. Then I quit drinking after that because the wines were so good. Then we went to
Like
Spain.
nothing can top that, right?
Yeah, just nothing. So then went to Spain, and then we're like on the south coast of Spain last winter. It was very good. We went to Malaga, which is really, really nice. Then went to Portugal, Lisbon. We did some surfing there. We lived there for quite some time. And then we get stuck during COVID in Latvia because they closed the borders. We decided to go to Bali a year ago, and we are like, we just bring a dog to parents, to Anna's parents. And then we're just going to go to Bali, and they closed the borders in Latvia. So we stayed for 5 months back in Latvia, the place where I decided to leave and go to Canada and not come back for like extended periods of time. And then when they opened, we went back to Portugal. Then we went to Budapest, amazing place in Hungary. And then Portugal again, and then Valencia, which is amazing Spanish city. And now we're in Bali.
Man, that's a lot. That's
Yeah.
awesome that you're able to go and see all those places. And again, if you're watching online, again, go ahead and give us a shout out. Like, ask your questions for Anatoly and or about like his wife and his business, because it's a joint tandem team. We've had a couple of husband and wife teams on the show too, so that's been pretty common actually. It feels like that if one person they're going to do as a business together, like everyone jumps in head first. So it's kind of a commonality I've seen. But again, on LinkedIn, like I said, nice to hear from you too, Vijay, and everyone around the world. Again, it's early on the West Coast time, so I don't blame people being. It's early, or I should say late for you, but still a little bit early here in the United States. So, but yeah, we appreciate on a Friday. It's a little more relaxed. We keep it pretty chill, but yeah, so your journey is interesting. So you started your consultancy, you moved it to a little bit more of it was IT focused, which is, I don't think many people have like this IT background that I've interviewed yet. So what was that like becoming a consultant for IT? What does your agency or your
Yeah.
consultancy technically do?
Yeah. So it all started when I was in Latvia. So when I was growing up, at some point I realized I'm completely lost. Latvia is a post-Soviet Union country. It's pretty grim. So imagine those movies where like you see Soviet, everybody's like the same, wearing the same things, and it's like very, very grim. So that what USSR was. So when it collapsed, it was much better, but still a lot of the same because people are used to live the same way. And I haven't seen good entrepreneurial figures back in Latvia that much, because people who are making money were people who are either like criminals or politicians or something like that. So Latvia is was not really like entrepreneurial hub or something like that. And
Right.
growing up, I was completely lost at some point. I was like, I don't know what to do with my life. And like my dad said, why don't you study business? Because everyone does in Latvia. So I studied business, and I was like, I still have no idea what I'm doing with my life. And at I think at 20 or 21, I was like, I need to leave. I just need to leave to go somewhere else and try something, because I don't know how I can continue. I just party all day. I don't go to university. I do nothing. I'm just wasting my life. So I went to Canada, and then it's what was my first personal decision, I would say, because before that my parents would decide because I didn't care. And then in Canada, I would be like, okay, now I need to decide what I'm going to do. And then I would see, and in Canada, there are people who are entrepreneurs, people who are also not only like economists or lawyers. And I'm like, I'll probably do something that I'm good at, and I would be coding on the side. And I'll be like, I'll just code. I'll just go to software development. And I went to college, not like university, because I did not want to study the theory. I just wanted to do it because I was pretty good at that already. I
You
was
want to
like,
practice it. Yeah, you don't want to do theory.
yeah, I was introverted, and I would just sit at home when I in Latvia, and I would just code them by myself because there was nothing to do. Like I would either go party or go code. So then I started as a career, and that was a good match. I think that was one of the best decisions, because I would get a job in about a year already. In school, I would get like one of the best jobs. They would pay me a lot, and then after school there would be a lot of, I guess, need for people like me who can code. And I would go to these amazing companies. They would hire me, and I would work for them. It would be like, wow, that would be great. So like one of the top companies in the world. I worked a lot of companies in the 10 years while I was like in IT. And one thing that bothered me there, that I worked for somebody else. Like every time I would sort of have all my soul given to the company, and then they would make bad decision, and then they would either like go bust, or they would have to lay everyone off. And then I would be like, damn it, I love this company so much. I spend so much time with them. I build their systems and stuff like that. And then I would just, I would be heartbroken really a couple times. I was like, I cannot do it anymore. I need to have something on my own. So I started, so I progressed from software developer to manager, and then to person who helps teams to coordinate together and work well. So let's say in an IT team, that could be developers, designers, product managers, stakeholders. And for owner, let's say it's hard to understand how it all works together. So they would hire people like me, and I was starting doing that in a companies I worked in, who can coordinate all of this together, who can look at these complex systems of people and make sure they work together as a single unit very well. So I started doing consulting. I started doing YouTube videos about it, and then people start hiring me saying, why don't you come and help me out? I helped the government of Jamaica. I helped some startups. I helped a bunch of work with government of Canada. So yeah, with big companies, small companies, I would just go, and I still do it. I would just go and help teams out. And then,
So
but
when
still,
you say help them out though, like what does that mean?
yeah.
Like is
So
it
we'll
just like
run.
infrastructure, or like what
Mhm.
is that?
So I would come in, and then we would do trainings. We would see how they work, and then we would analyze how they work, and then we would give some tips and give some frameworks how to work together as a team, like what meetings to have, how to sync up, how to be transparent, how to adapt to change, how to report to your stakeholders, how to make sure everything is visible. Your like what you do is visible. Your what your work is like, because developers, they can sit down and work for, I don't know, years, and you won't see any work. They'll just be working on it. They're like, oh, it's good, everything is amazing. But stakeholders need to see the results. They also need to drive this. So I would help them with frameworks, how stakeholders can be part of this process as well. So from every single angle, I would help teams to communicate and coordinate their work well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Almost
and
like
that's
almost like SOPs and more
yeah.
processes, and making sure everyone's on the same page. That makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's very needed, because I was actually today at some party, and the guy was telling me how he hired a developer, paid him $30,000, and after 2 months he would say, "You know what? I can't show you anything because everything I did is unfinished, but I need another $30,000." And then he would give it again, and he would disappear. So at some point, the guy said, "You know what? I think I cannot do it because I don't have enough skills," and then he just left. And the guy didn't have any code, nothing back.
He had
So
nothing,
he
but
just
he invested
disappeared.
$60,000 for
Exactly.
nothing.
Yeah. So I'd be like, well, that's where I come in and say, I'll figure out how you guys work together well. So he doesn't waste money, and this guy works in a way that everybody sees what he does. So it would be a good example of exactly what problems I do solve as a consultant.
That's awesome.
And I
So
built it
we're
to 6 figures. I have lots of clients. I guess I have less clients now because I just client work is hard, man.
you were telling me before this, you value sleep. You need to
Yeah,
you got to take some
yeah,
time away. But then on the other side of things, you also have Amazon. So where did Amazon come into play? Like what was
yeah.
that like? Consultancy is great, but I have to be dependent on other accounts, other people around
Yeah.
the world.
I think they started also at the same time, actually. I was just had to
Okay.
go entrepreneur like really hard. So I remember at one company, I was still working full time. I was running with one guy, and he's like, maybe let's try something else. And we're employees of that company, but we're like so fed up because we knew that new management would come. And I think this guy just got fired from the company. And I would be like, okay, let's try something. So we try. He's like, let's try drop shipping. And I'm like, what's drop shipping? He's like, drop shipping is just like, you don't need any inventory. You just talk to manufacturers and ask them for their list of products, and then you put them on Shopify store, and then people buy from you, and then you buy from them. And I'm like, wow, let's try that.
That sounds
Don't need any
fun.
investments, nothing. It's and then I'm like, I think it comes down to two things: driving traffic through ads and having expensive products to get some margins on. But then we're like, let's pick product, what we're gonna sell. And like then for some reason we picked storage sheds. The huge sheds you put in your garage. I don't know what the hell we
You pick the
thought, but
biggest. You pick the biggest product to sell and
yeah,
ship
because we're like, oh, we
possible.
don't care. We don't have any inventory anyway. Let's pick storage sheds. And then we're like, okay, so we created this Shopify store. We made it running. At that one point, we start getting calls. People are calling me. They're like, hello. I'm like, hello. How do I assemble that shed that I bought? And I'm like, what? I have it in front of me, but I have no idea how to assemble. So this is your number, right? This number, I bought it from you. So how do I assemble that? And if you know me, if you give me IKEA table and instruction, I would not assemble it ever. So just useless. I'm like completely useless. And this guy's calling me about storage, and I'm like, damn it, I need to understand the products I sell, because otherwise it doesn't work. And then other people call like, how do I put a boat in this shed? Like, I have this big boat. I need to put it in the shed. Can I? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you try that?
Sure, go
Why
for
don't
it.
you try that? Yeah, go for it. Don't worry about it. Like, or somebody's like, I have this weird screws. I don't have yours. I have the other ones. Can I use them? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you
Try.
that? Yeah.
Let me know how that
So I
goes.
Yeah. So I have all those people calling me, and then I would redirect it to my wife, and she would redirect it to his business partner, and would go like rounds and rounds. Very stressful.
Hold,
We won't
please.
make any money. Yeah.
Just hand the phone
The
off
fa-
to the next person.
the Facebook ads would eat up all the margins, so we would get like nothing, and it would be so stressful. And I hate customer support from that. I never do customer support in any of our businesses anymore, but that was stressful. And then I remember we sold one shed for like $7,000 once. We're like, wow, now we're making it, finally making money.
Like,
and then when we calculated the margins, we would get like $25 each. We're like, damn it, this is like the worst business you can go to. And then this business partner like, I don't know. And we were like, with this business partner, we did the same thing. Like, we just walked, and like we had the same passion. We like just like product development. We didn't like anything else. So we did not have those skills. When you like, I have one skill, he has another one, so we are good, like good symbiosis of things. We didn't have that. So we would start arguing all the time, and I'd be like, damn it, I have partnership issue, I have customer support issue, I'm just completely screwed. So it's thankfully he decided to leave at some point, because remember, me and my wife were sitting there like, hopefully he leaves and then we can close the business, because man, we just hate it.
This is terrible.
Yeah. So
closed
it.
So that was a storage shed. How long do you guys do that? And like after all that time?
A year and a half, something like that. So we didn't think that we just can close it and do something else, because investment fund is bad, but probably should close it earlier. But that was a great entrepreneurial sort of understanding that you need to do customer support. You need to understand your products well, and you need to understand margins well, you understand accounting well. So there's a lot of things that we use afterwards to start an Amazon business. And I remember we were like, me and my wife, this guy left, and then we're like, okay, now he left, now let's close it, because there's like no shame in it. So we closed the business, and then at some point we watched the ad for the course, and we're like, the Amazon course, because then we were smart. We're like, now someone needs to teach us, because at dropshipping we knew nothing, and then we failed. So now we need to find good mentors. So we found a course, expensive course, about $4,000 or $5,000. Let's invest. We decided to invest our savings. Didn't have money savings at the time. We decided to invest our savings to just go for it. We're just gonna go for it. We're gonna do everything.
So even after a failed product or a failed, like, hey, we didn't make money for a year.
Yeah.
Whose choice was that? Was that just a joint decision? You guys were just like, we're just going to jump in.
Yeah. And I was working full time at the moment. I was like earning a lot. So that we did not really sort of, it wasn't the crazy end game that storage just didn't go well. So we're like, okay, let's try Amazon. And then we bought a course, and the course says, find something that sells well. Now we're going to go to my failures, because I'm the guy who shares failures. Not too many do. Like, I don't have Lamborghinis. I just have some failures to show, but I think those are the best ones. Like, failures teach you the most. So I'm going to tell you a big failure of mine, and you can laugh at me later.
No, so you invest $5,000 in the course, which for everyone who's watching this, or if you're not familiar with courses, like, that's not atypical. There's a lot that people charge for that much, which is good content. You can also find content that's free. I think a lot more people are, it's somewhere in the middle where people find value, and the value comes from either they know that person, they want to find success, and if they happen to invest a little bit more, typically it comes with like mentorships, some sort of like helping one-on-one community. So you're buying different kinds of value in those kinds of contexts, but like, that seems pretty typical. So you buy a course. This is what year, by the way?
This was about 2016, I think.
Okay. So 2016, you bought the course. You're learning about it.
Something like that. 16, 17, yeah.
4 to 5 years ago.
Yeah. So we're learning about it, and they say, find something that sells, and then sell this thing. makes sense. Find
Right.
someone that's already selling, sell this thing. We're like, okay, let's do it. I went, started looking, and I'm pretty good at that. I love searching for products. I'm still sometimes do that, so I should do it less. And I will talk about it why after I tell a story. So at some point, we're like, okay, we found about 10 products, and we narrow it down, because then you need to narrow it down. There's some criteria you need to follow. I don't remember the criteria exactly, but they all met the criteria, and then we found one, which was green binoculars. So green binoculars for kids. We're like, green is good color, selling well, so we should sell green binoculars because this is a color. Weird logic, but that's how we thought at the moment. That's how, I mean, and I don't have any entrepreneurial background. I just want to say that. So people who are laughing at me right now, please continue laughing. I don't mind. And then we're like, okay, we need to add something to? We need to bring value to people. Like there's some green binoculars there. Let's add something. So we added. We decided to source it. So we sourced it. We found one manufacturer. We're like, what else do you have? What can you add to it? And they're like, we have this this black magnifying glass, just small one. We're like, oh, magnifying glass, amazing. Just add that. Let's do that. We didn't do any research. We didn't think if somebody likes magnifying glass, does that make any sense? Is a black a good color for this combo? No, nothing. We're just like, let's add it because it makes sense because they have it. So then we had it. I have an image of it, and maybe I'll just send it to you that you guys can take a look at some point later of this product. I still keep it. I even have a presentation I sometimes do about my failing products. I show them all. So we created this nicely packaged magnifying glass and binoculars, green binoculars with a blue on the side. It's called Explorer Supplies for Kids. We call it that way. And it took us 5 months to launch, even though it was like everything was ready. It wasn't like a custom mold, but it still took us, I guess, 5 months. So then at some point, we're like, boom, and it's on Amazon. It was one of the best days in my life. My product appeared on Amazon. We're like, now it's going to be reached.
You can search for it, and it's there. People can buy it.
Yeah. That would just blow my mind. And then now you're expecting how I tell you stories, how I sell it like millions and millions. And there's like zero sales. And if you went to page 1 at the moment, at that time, for kids binoculars, there would be the identical green binoculars for the whole page, and people would be just selling those binoculars. So it was just nothing but just green binoculars. And we at the moment, I did not understand that, but now I understand, and I think that's like a golden nugget people who are watching us and who are picking their first product. You need to do one thing. Just do it. If you have a product, just do it. Follow what I'm saying. Just do it. Take a screenshot of Amazon's first page. Then take your product and Photoshop your product to the first page. And then ask yourself 2 questions. Question number 1, does this stand out? Not for you, but for people who don't know your product. Does this stand out? If it's a green binocular and a sea of green binoculars, it does not stand out. Just saying. And the other question is, let's say it has 0 reviews. Would you, with 0 reviews, buy that? So if you can answer yes to those 2 questions, you can launch it. If you don't, I don't know. And if you say yes, I recommend you check it with other tools. I use a tool called Pickfu, or ask your mom, or ask somebody. Don't show your product. Just say, which
not
one
in that
would you
order,
buy?
but start with one.
Yeah.
No, that's so interesting. So didn't realize why green. Again, I think a lot of people say don't start with green. I think that's what a lot of people say. Like, you don't sell products that are green. I think it's almost like what, yellow? No, yellow and blue. Well, I forget what the actual like pleasant colors. I heard this. So this is the funny thing. Like on Clubhouse, like you hear all these things thrown around, and like they're from very smart people to sell, and like everyone's been touting like these color palettes. And I was like, I didn't even think about color, but you were like, you're very poignant on the screen binoculars, and I didn't think like, hey, for some reason, especially in this niche, this is what I think about. If it's for a kid, kids live and die. They'll buy literally everything by their favorite color. And if it's green, hell yeah, they're going to buy green binoculars. So that makes sense to me. So that I'm getting there mentally. But you're saying your product bought from the supplier is the exact same as everything else on page 1, pretty much almost identical.
Yeah. So green might not be the problem. You can do green binoculars. You just do them differently. Just have something unique. Your product needs to stand out. It needs to be unique. It needs to be the reason why people are buying yours. If you have 0 reviews, like maybe people, I would add something. I would actually look at keywords right now. If I would do it again, I would look at keywords like, what do people buy? Let's say they buy compass. Kids like compass, and nobody's selling binoculars and compass. I would then check on some, I don't know, on some forums. I would see, and I would ask people, what do you think? Would your kids like it, like binoculars and compass, or I'd go to tools and I would like.
What do kids like to do when they're playing like adventure or
Yeah,
something like
yeah,
that?
yeah,
And they would like list off a bunch of like things like,
Yeah.
oh, this and this. Yeah, you would package them together naturally.
Yeah. And then I would sell them that way. But same binoculars, also I would not sell the same binoculars anymore, because that would not work. So I would do completely different. So we would have 0 sales for a long time, and we bought about 200 units, invested about $1,000, so not too much. And at some point, I remember I was staying in a lineup for a ski lift in Whistler, and I would look at my Sales Central app, which shows your sales, and I would have like 7 sales one day, and I would be like, "Damn it, I'm finally getting it! Somebody's buying
It's happening!"
Yeah,
you shout out really loud in the mountains.
Yeah,
it's happening, everyone.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And then for about a week, we would get uptick in sales. So we'd get like 5, 7, 5, 7. Like, yes, but we only have 200 units. What are we going to do? So we had a quick meeting. We're like, we need to order more right away. So we put a we put a down payment, or I guess we ordered another 1,000 units, and we put $10,000 down. And then when we did that, in about a week, the sales went back to 0. So I think what happened, maybe our competitors went out of stock, maybe the algorithm, they decided to play with an algorithm, something changed, that our binoculars were favorable for a little bit of time. And then the sort of the reality came back, knocking at our door, and then we would just have a big order of 1,000, and then we would have zero sales again, which was terrible. So a couple of things I learned. And one big thing I learned is, well, if you make your initial order more, then you can look for longer patterns. And then I think the long pattern is about a month. So you need to look at the month span of sales, not like a day or a week span of sales. So if I would do it differently, I would probably order right away more units, so I can just test it more and see, oh, should I order more or not? Also, my margins were really bad. Like, it cost about, each binocular was $10, and we're selling for about 25. So for Amazon, this is not ideal. And yeah, so in the end being the end, we would have those binoculars that weren't selling well or at all. So we'd have to spend all the time on PPC, which is pay-per-click. And then at some point, we'd just have to drop the price so low that we would not make any money. And then we'd spend 12 months selling them out. So terrible story, terrible fail, but lots of learnings. I still think that for $10,000, this is a really good school of like learning business, and this is real and this is very raw. So you don't get that in like Harvard or anywhere you are. And we took this knowledge, and then we launched a second product that did sell with 0 reviews. People like, probably in your podcast, as in mine, people ask me all the time, how do I get reviews? Well, how do I get initial reviews? It's so hard to get initial reviews. Here's my answer. If your product is really good and stands out, you don't need it. The products we launch with 0 reviews, they start selling anyway. Because if you're selling the same thing, maybe you shouldn't sell it anyway. If you are struggling with those beginning reviews that nobody's buying yours because you don't have any reviews, I think you need to think about your products and your positioning. And you need to think, how can I really make it stand out and different? And then people will buy it. Because if it's different, if nothing like this is on page 1, people will buy it.
Right, exactly. And you're finding a product that's fixing a problem at the end of the day. When someone's searching on Amazon, they've either done the research already, more than likely, right, on Google, or like, what's a top product? And the destination where they're going to make that purchase is going to be on Amazon, more than likely. That's where a lot of people have been trained to do. That product's going to somewhere exist on Amazon, theoretically. And so they go there, they search exactly what they want, like green binoculars in this case, because my child's like, what do you want for birthday? Oh, I want green binoculars. Like, okay, go to Amazon, search green binoculars. Boom, there it is. So you buy something that's there that fits the product. If there's competition, of course, you're going to go with like, which one's been around the longest? has the best reviews most recently, so on and so forth. And like psychology kicks in there. But if it's new and you're like, if it's like green binoculars with like a solar, or with like a bundle, like you said, then you differentiate yourself. And then if you're the only product that's there, people more often or not are going to say like, that's exactly what my child or kid wants, and that's what I'm going to purchase. Boom, purchase.
Also, will listen to me, they might get it a little bit in the wrong way. To differentiate is on a if let's say the other ones has 8x zoom and you're like 12x zoom, that's not enough, because people on Amazon, they're buying by main image. You cannot show 12x zoom on your image, and probably kids don't care anyway. But or like let's say somebody's selling some leather products and they have like vegan leather, and that's the only differentiating thing. They have the same thing but just vegan leather. It's amazing. I think vegan leather should be there, and it's really, really good. But for Amazon standpoint, this is not a big differentiator because your main image does not show that.
So what's the thing that will be the main difference? Like, what does something have to do to be a distinguishing factor? So you learned this, that you have to differentiate yourself. What does it take to be different?
Yeah, I can tell you about my product number 2, and that's how we applied it to be completely.
Let's bring it to us.
We're showing products to people, so like everybody's now, let's go green binoculars, let's sell that. I don't recommend. So here's a second product. The second product, we're like, okay, one of our friends were dealing with some issue, and she was like, she had issues getting pregnant, and she had this condition called PCOS, which is polycystic syndrome, something like that. So female know that's like a very common thing, and females struggle with it a lot. So we're like, okay, so what do you use? And she used this thing called inositol, and inositol helped her with her condition. So inositol, there would be like, there were 2 types of inositol. One is Myo and one is Decairo. And when I Googled it, they would always, people buy them together, or they would go together. Something that people they are like one and the other. They're like 2 pieces of the puzzle, and people would buy one bottle and the other bottle. Nobody at the moment would sell them together. And if you would look at those packaging, everything would be like very strict, like pharmacy-like. So what we did, we combined Myo and Decairo inositol in one pill, so you don't have to take 2 pills. And we made it very pinkish and very nice looking bottle of supplements. So like it would pop up right away. So remember,
this is something that was going to help solve a problem to help women get pregnant, like
either get pregnant or with this condition of PCOS. So
gotcha.
I don't quote me on that. So, but PCOS for sure. So
you're selling this in the United States. What's there somewhere else?
United States. Yeah. So we found amazing manufacturer in the United States, and they had those 2 products. They're already selling them, so they were happy to just combine them in the same doses that people are taking them. And this is essentially that was it. There was nothing super hard about it.
So taking 2 separate things, you're taking one.
Yeah, now they're just taking one. And then, the packaging was really nice because it was very pink, very appealing, and it will pop up right away. So we go to page 1, it will pop up right away. I can send you a screenshot of that as well. You can just share it later because I have it in my presentation. I do like presentation. I show all those products. And that was different. So here's where we start selling with 0 reviews. We would just sell like this, like hot potato, because nobody had it. People did not need reviews, even like, supplements need reviews, because how would I ingest it? People do ingest it with 0 reviews. And it was working fine. It was working amazing for female. They would be writing a thank you. It's so convenient. It's so good. And then this ball will speak to them. So this is how you can be different in the same sort of, without too much innovation, combining 2 things that people already buy together. And we found it out by looking at frequently bought together on Amazon. We also looked at, I think I looked at Google. I usually say that I would start typing like Myo inositol with, and it will say Decairo inositol. So this is how I found that people like autocomplete it. So this is how I found it. And there were keywords there as well on Amazon. I like use Helium 10 to check it out and find that there was keywords supporting it. So yeah, that was product number 2. It was
Successful.
amazing.
Pretty
Very
successful.
Very successful until at some point we got email from Amazon. They said, hello, and we're making a bunch of money at that point. I think $15,000 from the product alone a month. And then we would get email from Amazon. It would say, hello, we removed your listing because you're using some claims that you cannot use. And we're like, no, we're losing all this money now. We're using some claims, and we're new. Everybody's using something. We just copied the title from everyone else. So we're using the word PCOS, which people cannot use. And everybody on the first page, of course, are using it, including us. But we were the first one who get suspended. They were like, now show us how would you fix it. And we removed the word PCOS, and we're like, we fixed it. Here you go. And they were like, no, there's still lots of claims. We're like, what do you mean? There's no claims. So then and it would be like 5 weeks later. So it reply 5 weeks later every time. So it takes 5 weeks to review this title, which is crazy. So then we'd hire a lawyer saying, can you please review that? And they're like, okay, there's no claims. We're like, there's no claims. And we start arguing with them. And then we send a message 5 weeks later, they reply. By that moment, like
and all this time that all this time your listing's not up, you're not making revenue. Yeah. This is the only product on Amazon at this time, right?
Yeah. Then we would be just removing something, and they're like, check that. Maybe that's a claim because there's no claims. We know because lawyers said there's no claims. Then we're like, somebody's sending us write to Jeff@Amazon.com. We're like, Jeff, this is ridiculous. We don't have any claims. Blah blah blah. So
Mr. Bezos, please reply now.
Yeah. Then we get a reply from Jeff's team. So like, this is executive team. We read very carefully your listing. You're selling something that's prohibited to sell by any law anywhere. Like, what? Everybody's like selling it. What are you talking about? And this will never be instantiated. Just don't write to us again. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Everybody's selling it, and it's completely legal if everything is good. So they just don't read your stuff at all. So 5 months it took us to just go back and forth. And at some point, I was like, I'm done. I'm done with Amazon and with all of this. I'm just going to do my last thing. I'm going to remove the whole description and everything and all the images, just leave one image. And I'm just going to upload it again. And if that doesn't work, whatever. So I did that. And I think in 5 weeks, they're like, oh, your listing is back. You don't have any claims anymore. And we're like, what the hell? And then I just put everything back, and they never touched us again. So
I was gonna say, what was the thing that was pinging it so that it was?
I don't know. I think the bot just caught it and then didn't want to release it, and they don't know. Like, nobody knows what's the problem. We're like, what is the issue? What is the claim? Tell us the claim. We cannot tell you the claim because they don't know. Because like, I think bot just
so after all this, it was the same listing. You took everything down, almost like scraped it.
I just removed, and this is like a hack that can save somebody just a lot of, like, if you're listing and you're in this in the same boat. So just remove everything from description and from bullet points, give it to them, and then re-upload it. If you don't have any claims, they won't touch you anymore. So this is crazy. This is like a crazy thing we live in.
Yeah, and Francois, friend of the show, he said, did you submit this to Sellers Central Support? Is that you said that you sent that off to them and they didn't help you fix it? They said that makes claims, everything like that.
Via seller support, back and forth. We had about 100 cases open. So it was like crazy. We went back and forth. Our lawyers from back and forth. But the only thing that did it was just this weird thing. But then the problem is when we went back, there was lots of people now selling this in 5 months. So many people jumped on this, and the people already started getting like hundreds of reviews, and they were like decreasing the price, and then we could not catch up anymore. So we would just lose this. I think it would be like $500,000 product because of this damn thing. And my fault was that because I did not realize that I should just not like argue with them. Right now, I just don't argue with them. I just do what they say and then I revert back. But yeah, that was like even worse. If binoculars didn't work, this worked, but then we got in this freaking war. And that just killed the morale, killed everything. We were like so devastated. At that point, we also launched another product that went well, using the same principle, find like how to stand out, how to be different. So we launched another product that did sell well, and that helped us a little bit. But man, that was devastating.
So in this time,
Uh,
you're fighting for 5 months. Yeah, and Francois was asking the next natural question. Like he and I think the same. What would you do with the excess inventory? Do you burn it, or like what's
no,
kind of
just stayed
the?
there. It was
You
stayed there. They
just
did,
sat in
yeah,
inventory, an
yeah,
FBA facility.
yeah.
You just kind
They
of ate
say
the cost.
remove your inventory. We did not until the case was closed, which wasn't closed. So the other way you could do this now, and understand that you could probably create another listing, and then just send your inventory to your warehouse, repackage it, put the new labels in, and then send it back. So you could probably do something like that as well. There are ways to do that. I just didn't know.
Mhm.
And
This is
that
back
was
in 2018, probably. What,
about
2019, 18?
2018. Yeah,
Yeah,
2018. Yeah.
interesting.
So that, yeah, at that point we're like, we launched different products that also issues. Like I had so many issues. I have a presentation. I talk about all those issues for like an hour. I just list so many things. Like I struggled with everything. One time we had inventory that all melted, and then the melt inventory was sent to people. At one time we had supplier just saying, your product, we made it, but it's faulted, and I don't have money to remake it, so I'm just going to take your money and your product. And it was USA supplier, and they, like, we paid them $12,000 and they left. He just stopped picking up the phone, so we have lawsuit coming with them. So things like that, and people are like, oh, that happens in China only. They're like, China is a place where like things happen like that. The worst thing that happened to us was with US suppliers so far. So, and I'm not saying that all suppliers are bad in US. I'm
Right.
just saying that it doesn't matter where you are. It doesn't matter if it's
It can
US. It
happen
doesn't
no
matter.
matter,
Yeah,
yeah, what country, what supplier, and things like that.
yeah.
Francois, who actually, if you don't know them, they're with Novaland. They help with like logistics and 3PLs and whatnot. But he also had the question: doesn't Amazon dispose of it within 60 days of your listing being taken down? Isn't that common
Whenever,
practice now?
I don't know. Maybe it is. I
But
don't know. It
they
was
didn't
just,
get rid of any product because it was an
no,
open claim. And
no. I think it was open. Yeah, it was open to sort of. It was open case. That's why they
interesting.
did not. I
I'm
don't know.
curious, yeah, to hear from their point of view why, if you can get like their point of view, if they can look back and they're like, this is why we still kept it. I mean, like
Yeah,
that'd be good to know, obviously, in terms of like case studies and whatnot for yourself to know that,
sure.
hey, if something is happening, and the case
Yeah,
is open, you don't have to worry about your inventory possibly being thrown out because it's technically, I mean, this is how I would view it if this makes business sense, business wise. You would think that if something is open, that everything is going to be looked at. It's not going to just like go business as usual because it's still on them and their end. They stopped you for one reason. If you're trying to resolve it and it does get resolved and they just like throw it away, it's almost like
yeah. I don't
then I
think.
would assume that there would be a problem. I'm
I
assuming.
think that there's also different things, like there's some suspensions and stuff that they just remove it. So removal from, I don't know. Actually, my
Interesting.
thing is that I do have a business partner who is my wife, and she deals with all the cases and all the other things, and I do with product research. So
So
great
she
questions,
knows,
but
maybe you don't.
yeah, she knows. Maybe I can put in a comment. I'll ask her. She's sleeping right now in another room, but I'll ask her in the
That's no
morning,
problem.
and
Yeah, we'll have
then
to find out.
we'll see. I might put in the comments or something like that. But yeah, so that was a hell of a
So
hell of a
your
thing.
first two products, you're going through hell and high water, something that's pretty saturated. You can't get inventory to go, or you did at one point. It blipped. You reordered. The blip was gone. So you have
Yeah,
that inventory. You burn through that eventually. Next product, your launch, great supplement, stands out, does well. Then Amazon takes you down.
yeah,
So
yeah,
2 for 2, basically, of like problem, solution,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden now you have all these other issues. So like in the final 10 minutes, and it's totally like what? So you have all these products, like that's discouraging. You're like, what else can go wrong, or why do we keep going? What's that moment like for you? That decision, and then pushing on, moving forward, and then being successful and finding other products that are gonna still yield results.
Yeah. Going on, that's a great question. I'm still struggling with understanding what. I guess persistence, and I see that it works. When I see something works, and I see that uh, we can make it work, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a product. Maybe we did that. We made mistakes, and I take every mistake I made was my mistake. From
Mhm.
picking up the wrong product to putting some claims and not reading terms of service correctly. So I understood that these are issues, but I understand what works there, and many people don't still. And I understand that I need to make process stands out. I need to spend a little bit time thinking about those products, asking people about what they want, what they don't want, and then I can like even launch with zero reviews, even in the competitive markets of supplements. I did that over and over again. I did it about 4 times, launching product that would be just in a very saturated market, and because it stands out and speaks to people, it was just people buy it with zero reviews. So for me, I understood the system. That's why I did not want to move somewhere else, and I did drop shipping. I knew how hard to make it work with Facebook and stuff like that. Like driving through Facebook and Amazon is so easy. You sort of rank, and if you have a good product, people will buy it. So that was completely different, and we had a process, we had a system, and it helps us. And still right now we're moving out of the supplement space, and we're building other brands right now, because supplements are saturated, and there are some Chinese sellers are going and just leaving you better reviews. So all those kind of things happening in supplement space that I'm just a little bit tired of, but I still like creating products. So I still use the same principles to launch new products. We have team now, we have processes. I've delegated more of it, because right now I'm more enabler than operator. Like I recorded everything I did with all of this, and then I have amazing team of people who I enable to do this very well, and I just help them out and oversee it and support.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, and that's where the podcast came from, is you needed something to hold you accountable, both the successes and the failures too. So you're still figuring this out, right? Like this is something
Yeah.
this is
I
not like an endpoint, like, and
no
everyone lived happily ever after. This is like,
no
and this is what's still happening.
yeah, and
To
I'm
be
just saying right
determined.
away, I should make this disclaimer right away. You usually invite some amazing people who are like millionaires, making lots of money. I'm not that. So if you watch for 15 minutes thinking that, I'm
She's like,
definitely
yeah,
not.
what's next? When does it happen? What's the turning
Yeah.
point? And they were like, nope, that's it.
Damn.
No,
So
no.
we definitely we
That's the
definitely
beauty
are
of your,
profitable. Yeah,
well,
we
that's the beauty
definitely
of
are
this show.
profitable.
Yeah, I was going to say you're profitable, you're growing, you're still finding success, but you've also found it through failure. So that's kind of the
Yeah.
beauty of having you on in this capacity, is like it's not just sunshine and rainbows, and it's not an instant success. Again, throwing
Yeah.
stuff on Amazon is not an instant success. It's a very much a trial and error and then failure, and then
Yeah.
try again, find success, and then fail even bigger. And like you
Yeah.
said, it's the up and ebb and flow of everything, and that's what's scary for you. I honestly, for myself or for any other person who's thinking about getting an Amazon, is, there is that potential of being a failure and losing lots of money. And then people just don't have that. I mean, like in a time of, a pandemic or whatnot, people just don't have jobs and they just don't have the capital to do that. Or you invest your life savings, and some people are just lucky. You can invest outside capital and pay them back, and then use those funds and reinvest in yourself. And not everyone gets the opportunity. So when you talk to people and they're like listening to you, you're like, and your point of me trying to sell on Amazon now is still what? Like, where is the points? So, like, what do you tell people in that capacity?
For people who are struggling and they're thinking, "Wow, this is my life savings, and I don't know if I should do it," that's a very legit question, and everyone should think for themselves. For us, it was about the risk and reward. So I always look for asymmetric risk. I look for that reward is much higher than the risk. So for me, spending $10,000 is a lot, but I know that having a life of freedom, I'll be able to travel around the world, spend time with my son every day, just being happy and creating something cool that I can tell on stories on a podcast. For me, that is more important than the money, because the upside is so much more. But if you're just starting out and you're like, wow, I'm scared, I understand that. And I think that you should find community that can support you. These days you need support system. You need somebody who can keep you accountable, somebody who knows Amazon well, to sort of do it with you, because first products fail a lot. So that's why for me my accountability tool is my podcast, because at some point I was like, I need to scale to 10 million. I don't have a lot of people who can give me advice, so I will just share my failure, share my numbers, share everything, and I'm sharing every week. Is like, oh, today, like this week, I was just recording episode before, so it's like something happened and we get deranked with one of our products, and I'm just saying that it's not good saying that, not feel good about it. I'm like, we lost couple I don't know, usually we make this much, here we lost like $1,000 this week. I don't feel good because we need to order new products. And I share all of this because I want this to be raw, because people don't do that. We only hear those success stories. And then for another side, I would interview people who are making hundreds of millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars. I would be like, I usually ask, what advice would you give me? Here's where I'm at. Here's where you are at.
Right.
Tell me, what advice would you give me? And that would be a blessing. I met so many amazing people. I got so much great advice, and I'm able to use that advice and to show people this advice. So they walk this walk with me. They're like, okay, we're in the same position. And I totally ask them, like, I need to know from this guy, what would he do? And then they would use that advice as well, which I think is very, very good. At least I'm getting some nice messages from people saying that helped me a lot. I was in the same position. I was struggling the same way you were. And then when you interviewed this guy and he said that something clicked in my head, and I was able to turn it around. And for me, this is what matters. Like, when people tell me that, I mean, like, this is all. This is what I'm doing.
Well, that's amazing, man. And like I said, like, you sharing that openly, even potentially having your competitor finding you and just like watching you and like see what you do and kind of being open and honest with people is a possibility, but you're trying to be open and honest and keep yourself accountable. I think that's a very legitimate way to, push yourself moving forward. And 10 million, I'm assuming for everyone out there, 10 million is the number you want to eventually be 8-figure seller, correct? I'm assuming that's the end goal of all of this. Of course, that would be fantastic. And I think that's a natural like capping point, like to be determined. Like, this story will continue to ebb and flow. Like, where do people follow your journey? Like, pick your brain. If they have advice, like, reach out to you. Like, where do the people go for that?
Yeah, if you go to 10millionjourney.com, there's like links to Instagram, to Facebook. You can reach me out there. You can reach me out by my email, Anatoly at 10millionjourney.com, if you have any specific questions. But podcast, you can leave me a voice memo. I usually play them in a show and answer your questions. So yeah, 10 Million Journey. Easy.
And I'll put that in the comment right now. So for people who are watching, go ahead and check out Anatoly and his 10 million journey. Again, it's I put it on all of our social channels, so make sure you click on that. Go ahead and subscribe to him. Again, follow him on Instagram, I believe also on Facebook. Yeah, you're a person on Facebook too. So with that being said, hey man, thanks so much for hopping on. I know you have other things to do tonight, and it's super late on your end, so it's almost Saturday. Yeah. And then again, Francois just started his own podcast, so you guys should connect and make sure that you guys can talk and share your stories with each other.
Amazing,
so yeah,
Francois, good luck with that, and yeah, let's chat.
I've been on his show, and like, I'm due to be on yours pretty quickly, I believe. But Francois is also a great conversation to be had. So again, for anyone else who's listening to this, again, on either Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, or Twitter, thanks so much for joining us today. Anatoly, it's been a pleasure, hearing your story. Again, it's a to be determined. Like, it's not sunshine and rainbows, like cap it off and like you've retired and exited your business and, you're going to invest and do something else. But, it's a process, right? It's you've been doing this for a couple of years, but you're going to find your way, and I'm excited for you. And, good luck with the rest of your journey. And we'll have to have you on as like an update, almost like where are we at? Like, because we just like everyone's doing the year in COVID, like everyone officially shut down a year ago today or yesterday.
Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I say in the United States are like, this is when it officially started because we shut down everything. And I'm like, okay, that's great. Like, thanks for reminding us all for this last shitty year. So, but anyways, yeah, congratulations on that. Be safe traveling out there. Indonesia sounds amazing. Bali sounds amazing. So
thank you.
Everyone keeps saying like, travel when we can. And once that happens, it'll be awesome. So
keep up doing an amazing job, man. I love your podcast, and I follow it. And you're amazing, and what you do is really, really good. Thank you for bringing so much value to people all around the world.
I appreciate the kind words. Thank you so much. And same with you. Yeah, keep up the good work on the podcast, and we'll be in touch for sure.
For sure.
Awesome. All right. And thanks, Anatoly, again for everyone. That was Anatoly with 10 Million Journey. Go ahead and subscribe to his podcast or follow him on social media on LinkedIn, or excuse me, on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm Ryan Cramer. This is Friday, so I'm going to sign off. I'm excited to jump into Clubhouse probably later today. So if you're on Clubhouse, make sure you join and follow us, or I should say myself, at Ryan Cramer. But yeah, if you have other questions or you have other ideas or questions, Anatoly, go ahead and tag him in those social posts. We'll make sure that he gets those questions answered, and then he'll put some of his products that he mentioned as well in the show notes as well. So if you are, again, watching this live, we appreciate your time spending with us today. If you're downloading this, thank you so much. Go ahead and leave a review on where you're listening the podcast, whether it's Apple, Google, Facebook, or Spotify or Google Podcasts, or anywhere else that you're listening to podcasts. Just leave a nice review. Hopefully, if you like what you hear, give comments on each episode. But I'm Ryan Cramer for Crossover Commerce. We appreciate your time spending with us in our corner of the internet. I appreciate you guys, the listeners, for listening to another episode. Again, episode 74 of Crossover Commerce. We'll catch you guys next time, live next week on the show. Take care.